Good evening, everyone. If you guys, are you guys okay? Do you need seats? So you're gonna hang out back there? Okay. There are two spare up here and another one here, front row. I'm getting. Oh, and there's some over here. So if people are coming in, if you can like direct them over there, that would be great. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for attending tonight's Meet the Candidates event in preparation for the municipal election on October 20th. My name is Becky Scott, and I'm the president of the Nanton District Chamber of Commerce. The formal part of tonight's event is being live streamed and recorded on the Chamber's YouTube channel, Visit Nanton. In the spirit of reconciliation, we acknowledge that we live, love, play, and rest on Treaty 7 territory, the traditional territories of the Blackfoot Confederacy, the Siksika, Kainai, and Piikani, the Tsuut'ina, the Stoney Nakoda First Nations, and the peoples of Métis Nation Region 3, whose ancestors have resided in southern Alberta since time immemorial. We are committed to creating a safe and welcoming space here. Ancestors have resided in southern Alberta since time immemorial. We are committed to creating a safe and welcoming space here for all as we explore our place of belonging in a world of kinship and relations. Municipal elections are a fundamental aspect of grassroots democracy, providing you with the chance to directly influence how our community is governed and how resources are allocated, where you residents have the opportunity to elect your leaders and representatives who will make key decisions affecting the community. In Nanton, this includes voting for 1 mayor and 6 councillors to represent the town on important local matters. We all want what's best for this town we call home. Please listen and be respectful to everyone tonight who will be sharing their story and why they're running. We have 8 individuals running for 6 council positions and 2 running for the mayoral position. I want to start by thanking and congratulating everyone who has put their name forward. Running for public office and putting oneself out there takes a great deal of courage, and I commend everyone. I also want to thank my volunteer colleagues on the Nanton Chamber Board for agreeing that this is an important event for us to organize for the community. I also want to thank all of you for attending. I'll just quickly go over the format for tonight's event. The councillor candidates will each have 4 minutes to introduce themselves, tell us why they are running and or why we should vote for them. Mayoral candidates will have 5 minutes each. Candidates have already randomly drawn the order they'll be going in. Our timer in the front row will show the candidates when 1 minute is left and when 5 seconds are left. No going over or the bell starts ringing. Or Melissa and I just pull you off. After this formal part, candidates will go to the tables reserved at the back to speak one-on-one or with groups at their table. Please try not to monopolize any one candidate for an extended period of time so that others also have the opportunity to ask questions. Advanced voting is on Friday, October 17th at the Cozy Corner on 20th Street from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Voting day, Monday, October 20th, here at the Community Center from 10 until 8. Returning Officer Sarah Lynn Lyons will be over at this table here afterwards to answer any questions you may have that are specific to the voting process. There's more information on the town's website, nanton.ca, if you click on Government in 2025 Election. Here you'll find the list of candidates with background information on each, as well as voter information. And we're hoping to wrap up by 9 o'clock at the latest tonight. Okay, so let's get started. And you guys, if you need to move this at all, it's obviously none of you are as short as I am, so do what you need to do. First one up is Victor Zott, who is an incumbent councillor. Victor.
Good evening, everybody. Nice to see such a group here of people that care about this town, because if you didn't care, you wouldn't be here. So if you've read my bio on the town website, just so you know, I come from a small farm, northern Alberta. lived in a small town, 750 people, then a little bigger one. So I grew up in small towns. As things went on in life, when did politics first interest me? It was the year 1979 when I waited in Edmonton for polls to open so I could vote for Joe Clark. And I have followed politics quite dearly since then. I never, due to work, had enough time to be a councilman. I'm a firm believer, you go into this council position, you're in whole hog, or don't do it. This isn't a part-time job. It kind of is supposed to be, but the amount of time you spend on research to make good decisions, your head better be in it full time. Don't just go Mondays, council meeting is on Monday, think, yeah, everything will be said there, I can make a decision. It takes a lot of knowledge. So we all have our visions of what we want to do. Do I want to see good water in town? Of course. All us candidates will talk about that. So to me, there's more to this position. So get past that part. And look at you, if any of you approach me, I need to take your concern to council, to administration, and see if something can be done. So when it comes to council, none of us have the right answer. We throw it out there. There's a debate. Good ideas come out of it. Or the other part of that is it doesn't work in a municipal environment. It could work in a business environment, but not necessarily in the municipal world. I managed a company with 120 people. When I became a councilor 8 years ago, so much of that doesn't work the same. It sounds the same. You're a manager, you're this, you're that, but how it comes to be. Council does not meet and we can make a decision on how to spend money, your tax dollars, in one meeting. It has to go, it has to get researched and brought back to us. So there's a time thing. Business gets around that. One of the things, like I say, I'm committed, and through this 4 years, I went to all the AGMs I possibly could. Why? So I knew that group, how they were financially, what they were up to. So when they ever came to council, I could understand the predicament they're in if they're asking for money. It's the whole picture. It had to be taken into consideration. Thank you again for coming out. 44% of the turnout in the last election. It'd be great if we set a record in this town of how many people of the 1,600 possible voters could possibly come out and vote a council. It's your town. Thank you.
Thank you, Victor. Next up is Rick Everett.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm going to give you a little brief history of some of my experience before I move on and explain why I'd like to be on council. First of all, for those that are interested, I'm a mining technician graduate from the Hillary School of Mines in Northwestern Ontario. I've worked in the mining industry my whole life. In fact, the last 30 years of my career was spent at Syncrude Canada Limited in Fort McMurray. There, I was a senior leader in operations for a number of years, and then had the opportunity to move into the organizational development leadership development department and acted as an internal consultant to senior management for the last 20 years. In 2002, I had the privilege of being offered or asked by the president of Syncrude, Suncor, and LP and Sands to build a company for them, a safety company called the Oil Sands Safety Association, in which I designed the company to save about $60 million with respect to contractor safety training. In 2013, I decided to run for mayor of the town of Nanton and got elected. In 2013, I decided to run for mayor of the town of Nanton and got elected. And I want you to know, in my whole career, it was by far the best job I ever had in my life. But I couldn't run the second term because of a very extreme medical thing in my family, and as a consequence, I lost my wife. I want you to know, though, when we got into council, and with this council as a team, some things we found out. First, we found that we needed to form a financial committee to put financial policies in place in the town so that we knew where we were going and what we need to save each year so this town becomes financially viable. Secondly, we needed to look at how we get doctors. There was no committee. We formed a committee for the attraction and retention of doctors that has been extremely successful. And by the way, one of the first doctors we hired is still here. Guess who? Dr. Wilkins. We also redirected the Westview lots weren't selling. So we took it away from the real estate company and we gave it to our CAO. And as a team, we said to CAO, here's how you can negotiate that land. So he went to work negotiating and selling the land. I'm proud to say, in the last year of our term, we had the opportunity to say we 100% paid off the debenture that the town had to make that land occur. But in the first year, we had a major catastrophe in the Whitewater treatment plant, as most of you know. What you don't know is council decided they wanted to put in holding ponds or settling ponds, sewage lagoons. The government said, no, you can't do it. So one thing I want you to understand is that even though as a town you may want to go a certain direction, the government's very clear, federal, provincial, sorry, you're not going to do that. This is the best you're going to do. So we then said, okay, we got to move on. So interesting, through that period of time, because of some relationships as council rebuilt, once the catastrophic failure occurred, and some of you may remember Pat Steer, who was the MLA for our town. We have one man left. So I got a hold of Pat, who got a hold of Brian Mason, who delivered $6 million a check, actually, at the golf course store. What I want you to understand is that the major activities were not part of my ideas when I became the mayor. I found out I cannot promise stuff because when you get in the job, you find things change. I do have the skills and ability to help both the mayor and council to meet its objectives for the next 4 years. But I will make a commitment to every one of you here and to the town of Nanton. I promise to you as Nanton citizens that I will commit my time, my energy, to work as a solid team member of council for the continued betterment. Thank you. For the betterment of the town of Nanton. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. Next up is Roger Miller, also an incoming councillor.
Good evening, folks. It's a real pleasure to be here. Thank you to Becky and your chamber colleagues for organizing this event tonight. It's, I think, probably better than a virtual event. I get to see real faces instead of screens. So nice change. This isn't the opportunity to ask questions, but when I get to my table, don't hold back. Ask questions, fire them at me. I'll do my very best to answer them. During my social media campaign, and thank you, Rachel, I was asked several questions, so I thought I would address those questions here tonight. The first question I was asked is, what made me decide to run again? A moment of insanity, perhaps? No. It's fair to say that it was a deep sense of purpose that I had from when I ran for the last election. I've served for 4 years. The key thing for me is there's too much unfinished business. I have a background in project management with engineering companies for 30 years of my life, almost 40 years of my life. And I got to tell you, the hardest thing for me to move from project management to council is not being able to sit at the table and direct people to do things. It's changed. So now it's like, in a project management meeting, I would say, structural, I need this by Friday. Electrical, I need this. Building science, I need that. And I need it by Friday. At council, it's like, we need a new water line. We need a new clinic. Do you think I could get it in 4 years? Very different from my project management experience. So difficult for me to walk away from a project. That's just in my nature. Another question I was asked is, what's our biggest accomplishment? My biggest accomplishment or council's biggest accomplishment? And I think we have quite a few in the last 4 years. One of them in particular that's near and dear to my heart was the time that the mayor and I spent in Edmonton with our MLA, with the parliamentary secretary, with the education minister, advocating for new schools here in town. Now, I know you've heard this for, I don't know, maybe 20 years, but trust me, I'd only heard it for a year or two. It was new to me. Interesting part of that whole experience was I toured the schools with one of the superintendents, and he took me through J.T. Foster School, and I've spent my life going in and out of buildings. I'm very familiar with them. And so after we were done with the tour of J.T. Foster, I said to him, you know, and I'll let him remain nameless, really, you guys need to tear this down. There isn't any intrinsic value in this building. You're using old recycled mechanical equipment. The HVAC is tired. You don't have the right kind of classroom space to even offer the curriculum that the school needs to offer. 1 minute. But I'm not done. I'm only on point 3. Okay, so the rest of you back at the table. Don't hesitate to ask questions. One of the things I'm going to jump ahead to is a little bit about me and my background, and I've served on the clinic committee since day one. I've served on the school value scoping and design committee. I've served on the Municipal Planning Commission. I've been the liaison to the Canadian Grain Elevator Discovery Center, and kudos to them, by the way, for doing a fantastic job. I'm retired, but I'm not tired. 15 seconds, well, you're nasty. I have 45 years of multidisciplinary engineering experience. And one thing I will say, I promise not to make any promises that I can't keep.
Thank you, Roger. Next up is our incumbent mayor, Jennifer Handley.
Good evening, everyone. This would be my 4th term on council and my 3rd as mayor. Before stepping into the mayor's role, I served as a councillor. That experience was essential because leading a town isn't just about having ideas. It's about understanding the framework, budgets, and people needed to turn those ideas into results. This is an important time for Nanton. We have multiple once-in-a-generation projects underway, and for the next 4 years require both stability and experience. We have a responsibility to finish what we've started: the new medical center, the proposed treated water line, upgrades to our schools, renovations to the THRC and the RCMP building, industrial land development, and the next phases of Westview. These projects will shape Nanton for decades to come. My goal is to help see them through, to maintain the momentum that we've already started, and make sure we deliver on the plans we've worked so hard to secure. The most effective councils are those with balance, experienced members to guide them, and new members to challenge and inspire. So our decisions reflect both fresh ideas and the lessons we've already learned. Transparency and communication have always been at the heart of how I lead. I listen, I respect differences, and make decisions based on what's best for the whole community. When questions arise, I respond with facts and context because residents deserve to know not just what council decided, but why. Municipal government is the level of government most directly accountable to the people it serves. Neighbors making decisions for neighbors. You've all seen the outside council chambers. For nearly 2 decades, I've helped plan dozens of community events, sat on multiple boards, volunteered countless casinos, and supported local fundraisers and projects. My volunteer work didn't stop when I joined council. It grew. I follow through. People know I'll show up, roll up my sleeves, and do the work alongside them. That's who I am, and that's how I lead. A municipal podcaster recently told me, Nanton always punches above its weight. It was one of the best compliments we could have received, and it's true. Most major projects in Alberta rely on provincial or federal grants, and those grants usually require towns to contribute matching funds. Because Nanton has long invested in shovel-ready plans and strong reserve contributions, we're ready when those opportunities arise. That's how we've advanced major infrastructure and development projects that are often out of reach for towns of our size. At the same time, we've stayed disciplined with your tax dollars. Council's role is to be good stewards of your money, balancing investment in the future while maintaining the services you rely on every day. Every dollar spent should have a purpose. Every project should make life here better or more efficient. That's been our guiding principle. Plan carefully, spend wisely, and deliver value. To put our budget into perspective, every 1% of the town's budget equals just $30,000. That's not a lot of room to work with when the costs rise across the board. So fiscal discipline matters, and it's something this council has delivered. Over the past 7 years, our budget average has only increased by less than 1.25% a year, which is less than half the rate of inflation. Yet we've continued to build, improve, and deliver. That's what responsible governance looks like. That kind of success doesn't happen by accident. It's the result of careful planning, collaboration, and persistence, and it's where experience matters. Understanding funding systems, aligning timing and approvals, navigating provincial programs, those are the things you learn by doing, not watching. So why am I here? To finish the work we've started, to guide a new council through complex projects already in motion, and to provide stability and continuity through what will be a time of big change. On election day, you'll have a choice. Vote for change's sake, or vote for stability and proven leadership. Because for me, it has always been and always will be about Nanton. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Jennifer. And next up, another incumbent councillor, Dave Mitchell. I don't know how all the incumbents, except for Rick, hold first. But I did.
Yeah, what Jen said. So I've lived in Nanton for 45 plus years. I have a rather large extended family, so I assume everybody knows who I am, and it's wrong. I shouldn't do that. I've been reminded of that. So a little bit, I'm Dave Mitchell. I've lived here for 45 years. I've been married 25 of those years to my beautiful wife, Tricia. You may know from the clinic. Everybody seems to know Trish. We raised 3 kids here. 2 of them are at university right now, and our wee little boys in Saskatchewan playing hockey. So we've kind of got a little of an empty nesting going on. So the time is there. I have more time now than I did my first 3 terms. Incidentally, I'm in my 4th term. So I've been on council for 15 years. And I know it's easy to say, you don't owe us anything, you can leave. So in that time, I have served with 3 mayors, 2 of them are sitting right there, and 15 different councillors. So if you want to see dynamics and how they work, I've been through it all. Okay, when I first got on council, Councilor Hensel and I were the new guys. I was 40 and I was the new guy. So the people that were the incumbents at that time helped us along that learning curve. It flattened it real quick. So you understand how things work. So I'm not going to go up here and say I have an answer to everything, because we don't. We do not have the answers. We take information as we can, and we build our information. We build our decisions based on the information we have. So our job is to get the most information, the best information. So with that said, there's been a couple questions some other councillors have asked. People are wondering, does Dave really want to run, be my 5th term? I don't have signs all over the place. I'm not big on social media, but the quick answer to that is yes, I want to be here. This isn't a habit, doing this job. This is a thankless job. It's not a glamorous job. It's not sexy. We're not on TV. A lot of the work goes unnoticed. You talk to people when they're not happy, and you have to deal with things. So a lot of our job is educating. And a lot of the time it's educating the uninformed or misinformed. And that is a massive thing. So I would encourage everybody here, if you've got questions, ask. This is a great forum. Ask, but don't leave it there. Do a little digging. Don't take what somebody says and go, well, that's the truth. You have the onus is on you, the voter, to do a little digging. And I have all this written down, and how much time ago? I don't know, about a minute and a half in. So the other question I get is, why do I still want to? Why, right? So it's already been mentioned that a big thing in council, because it changes, is you need a certain amount of continuity to make this work. If everything's new, it really stifles everything that's going forward. And yes, like Mayor said, there are things that we want to do, whether it's schools, a medical clinic, making sure there's police. The list goes on, and it never changes. So real quick, and the other, I'm going to kind of do a little shout out real quick, because the other question I get is, why don't you run for mayor? And I usually say, are you kidding? Does anybody have any idea what it takes to be a mayor? Take council, times it by 10. It's not an easy task. So with that said, I look forward to answering questions, and I ask that the citizens of Nanton allow me to continue to be a council, because there's a lot of good things happening, and it's your choice. So I appreciate everything. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Next up is Suzanne Thomason.
Good evening, everyone. It's great to see so many people out tonight to meet the candidates. My name is Suzanne Thomason. I'm seeking your vote for mayor. I bring several decades of professional experience to the role of mayor, including over 25 years as a project coordinator and a contracts analyst. I've worked on multiple major projects from initial concept to completion, from community halls to major pipelines. These skills will ensure that current projects underway and those that still need to be reviewed and approved will have that stability and continuity required to ensure that Nanton needs are indeed met while being as fiscally responsible as possible. I have informally met with various individuals involved with current and pending projects to ensure that any change in mayoral leadership does not present any concerns or unnecessary delays to the projects. Zero concerns were expressed, and in that process, I learned more about the initial processes and the recommendations surrounding those projects. Some key issues I'd like to focus on if I'm elected: the new school. The new council needs to address the $690,000 cost for the additional upgrades to the new school that were not covered under the school budget. The Nanton School Enhancement Committee has been doing an incredible job of fundraising with over $215,000 already raised. But at this time, there is still no contract or agreement in place with LRSD that guarantees that there will be no additional costs or increases by time of completion. I am confident that the Enhancement Committee will meet its objective, but in order to protect all parties involved, it would be prudent to have all understandings in writing. Wastewater and water treatment, we need to revisit the recommendations in an alleged $90,000 May 2012 report, as there are economical and feasible alternatives to what we are currently doing. Currently, our new $11 million wastewater treatment plant has not been working as it should be, and the town is paying to have sludge trucked out multiple times a week at a substantial cost. A cost-benefit analysis may need to be reviewed regarding level 3 versus level 2 operations. Water supply, regardless of where or how we source our water, Nanton is fighting a common problem that many other municipalities are also facing: aging infrastructure. Our underground water lines are poorly documented due to lack of accurate historical data. Water shutoff valves can be challenging to locate. Continuous leaking underground, even in Westview, where there is newer development continues to pose challenges. And varying sizes of pipe also create issues as the diameter gets smaller the older Nanton gets. With documented substantial water loss in our current supply system, buying water from another source is very cost prohibitive, especially if it is lost into the ground. There was a report completed around 2013 that flagged specific streets and areas of concern. We need to revisit that report and ensure its recommendations are followed as well. Fiscal responsibility as a councillor, we must ensure that our contracts are clearly protecting our interests, and we must start to push back and ask tough questions when projects are continually delayed or costs are increased. There needs to be clear repercussions if contractual promises are not kept. One example is the wastewater treatment plant dewatering installation. It has been delayed again and is now only being considered for award. In the meantime, the town needs to continue to rent a centrifuge, for the remainder of 2023, 25, and into 2026, with cost overruns of approximately $45,000 for 2025. Unoccupied Main Street buildings. Our Main Street has a lot of character. Let's embrace that. The Nanton Chamber of Commerce and numerous small businesses have already stepped up and updated how our Main Street looks and feels. For those buildings that are currently unoccupied, why not work with them to see potential that they may not even realize is there? It's one of the issues facing any business when you've been staring at the same issue for too long. It gets harder to see any other alternatives. Bringing more business to Nanton. I love our town, and I know I'm not alone. Why not give people more excuses to come and stay a while and shop local? I am confident that as a town, we can start to look at a larger calendar events throughout the year with a focus on sharing our existing community spirit and pride. We need to reach out to outside organizations and be interested in holding their sports tournaments and team building events here, and promote our town as a destination for weddings, reunions, and festivals. I strongly believe that the town of Nanton should not act as its own developer. We need to rely on the expertise of those that make a living developing areas to see where the current value is. Without proper, reliable infrastructure in place, further development would only create additional stress on our systems. I am not against future development, but I am for smart planning and risk management. I truly hope I have earned your trust and your vote for mayor, but I am also your neighbor and a taxpayer. I am accountable to each and every one of you, and I will do my very best to ensure that Nanton continues to be the awesome little town that we all love. Thank you.
Thanks, Suzanne. Next up, Nicole McKenna.
Okay, starts when I say good evening. Good evening, everyone. And thank you for coming here tonight. I'm Nicole McKenna, and I'm honored to stand as a candidate for town council. I'm the new kid on the block. I moved here 3 years ago because I love this town. About me, my career is, I've spent much of my career as a heavy equipment operator in mining, road building, and other civil applications. I'm proud to be a 30-year member of the International Union of Operating Engineers. Along the way, I trained at the Justice Institute of BC in negotiation and mediation, and completed the Canadian Society of Safety Engineers Project Management course, skills I've relied on throughout my working life. I've also spent more than 2 decades in the field of safety, earning the Canadian Registered Safety Professional Designation, or CRISPY as they like to call us. Those experiences taught me how to analyze risks, make sound decisions, and understand bureaucracy. So why am I running? Because I believe small towns like ours thrive when people step forward to share their experience and their energy. I care deeply about the future of this community, and I want to do my part to ensure it remains safe, sustainable, and welcoming. Good governance matters, and the choices we make today will shape the opportunities of tomorrow. What do I bring to the table? Well, my practical skills in problem solving, negotiation, and teamwork. I've worked in underground repair, emergency response with Calgary Fire Department, and environmentally sensitive roles for the city of Calgary. All situations where sound judgment and steady leadership are essential. I bring decades of experience in high-pressure, safety-critical incidents. Getting it right matters. I bring a willingness to listen, weigh perspectives, and build consensus. I may not have a lot of answers, but I do have, indeed, a lot of questions. I want to take a second to acknowledge the work of our present council. Serving in public office is never easy, and their time and dedication deserve thanks. At the same time, it's healthy to bring new energy and fresh perspectives. Councils are strongest when experience is balanced with renewal. My vision of an ideal council is one that works respectfully, even when we don't agree. I believe the strongest council is made up of members who balance an awareness of our history with a focus on our future. And above all, put the community first with transparency, accountability, and approachability. I believe my background, my values, and my commitment to this community make me a strong candidate. If elected, I won't make promises, but I will work hard, listen carefully, and serve with honesty, integrity, and respect. But most importantly, I want to work with you, because the strength of a town isn't just in its council, it's in the people who call it home. Together, we can protect what we value most while preparing for the opportunities ahead. I would be truly honored to have your support. Let's build a future we can all be proud of together. Thank you. I'm truly honored to have your support. Let's build a future we can all be proud of together. Thank you.
Thanks, Nicole. Next, Jenny McMasters.
Okay, hello. I'm nervous. Okay, so if you've spent any time in Nanton, chances are we've crossed paths. Maybe I've poured your coffee at one of the coffee shops downtown, cheered alongside you at one of Nanton's many games, or pushed you to add just a little bit more weight to your lifts at Decidedly Fit. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jenny McMasters, and Nanton has always been more than a place on a map for me. It's where I was born and raised, where my family's roots run deep, and where I chose to raise my daughter. Nanton has given me so much, and I'm ready to give back. Over the years, I've been proud to serve our community as president of Nanton Minor Baseball, as a board member for the Nanton Marlin Swim Club, and now as part of the Nanton Quality of Life Board. These roles have allowed me to listen, collaborate, and work alongside people of all ages to strengthen the place we all call home. For the past 15 years, I've worked for Alberta Health Services at the High River Hospital. In my role there, I manage payroll, scheduling, and HR-related questions and concerns for long-term care, cancer clinic, and the low-risk clinic. With the changes in our healthcare system coming, I'm going to be adding the acute care department to my portfolio as well. This work has strengthened my ability to stay organized, communicate effectively, and solve problems, skills I'm eager to bring to town council. I'm also currently completing my bachelor's degree in human resources and labor relations through the University of Athabasca, deepening my knowledge in leadership, governance, and conflict resolution. I have chosen to run for town council because I want to better understand how and why certain decisions are made, and to be a part of the conversations that shape those decisions. While running for council is a new venture for me, I feel that I'm at a point in my life where I can dedicate the time and energy to become the current council. But at the same time, I recognize that without being part of these discussions and understanding the full context, it's difficult to know exactly how those conclusions were reached. That's why I want to be at the table, to ask the questions, to listen, to learn, and to contribute to the solutions that will continue to make Nanton a great place to live. This is my home, and I'm proud to say that I'm excited about the opportunity to help shape its future. Thank you.
Thanks, Jenny. Next, Erin Shields.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to thank all of you for coming up tonight. I think your voices are the most important part of us running for council and being involved in this town. So a little bit about myself. I've been here since I was 16 years old, so really kind of grew up within the community. To be honest, I really was not happy to be here at 16. I came from Calgary, and there was all sorts for us to do there, whereas in Nanton, there really wasn't much. But as I've grown and really continuing to be a part of the community, I've learned how much of a small town feel we still have, and how much everybody puts into the community, whether it be through volunteering or being on different boards or coming out to events like this. So I really do thank everyone for being here tonight. So for me, it's really all about the town. whether we chose to be here or maybe the town chose us. Nanton isn't just where we live, it's where we raise our children, run our businesses, support our neighbors, and put down deep roots. This is a place where people still wave when you drive by. You know, you can't go to the post office without being in a conversation. I remember as a young child getting sent to the post office or the grocery store, and I think my mom learned very, very quickly that I'm gonna be gone for an hour because I chat with anybody and everybody. And that to me is important. I think we need to know who our neighbors are and become engaged and involved. But that's really not why I'm here tonight. Not that to tell you that I have all the answers, because I really don't. But like many of you, I care deeply about this place. I care about how we treat each other. I care about the kind of town we're handing over to the next generation. And I believe local government should reflect the values of the people that live here. When I look around this town, I see so much more than buildings and roads. I see stories. I see history. I see hard work. And I see families who've been here for generations and newcomers who've brought fresh energy and new ideas. I see a community that still knows how to pull together, whether it's for a celebration or through tough times. Nanton isn't perfect. No town really is. But it's real. It's grounded and it's worth investing in, not just with money, but with time, with care, and with conversation. Being on council isn't about having power. It's about listening. It's about making space for everyone's voice, not just the loudest ones. It's about understanding that behind every decision are real people, real lives, and real consequences. I'm not running because I think I can fix everything. I'm running because I love this community and I'm passionate about the people here. And I want to do my part to help it stay strong, to honor what's working, and to thoughtfully shape what comes next. So whether you vote for me or not, I want to thank you for being involved and for coming out tonight. Because at the end of the day, Nanton doesn't run on politics. It runs on people like you. So thank you for your time.
Thanks, Erin. And our final candidate, Shauna Strong.
Does this mean I get more than 4 minutes? I wrote a novel. All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here tonight. Whether you came out of civic duty or interest in one of the candidates or all of the candidates, I'm really glad that you did. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Shauna Strong, and I'm running for a seat on town council. Full disclosure, I've never held public office, and I don't carry the resume that some of the incumbent current council members do. I sat in council meetings, but not behind the table. Where I have spent my time is across boardroom tables for over 40 years, leading teams, solving problems, setting budgets, making the tough calls, and being accountable for results. I've also spent much of my career negotiating and writing legal contracts and working within governance structures that demand transparency, communication, and accountability. These are the very skills that I believe can serve our community well at the council table. So I've been the person in the past shaking my head at decisions made, sitting at the coffee shop or chatting around town with comments like, why did they approve that? Who made that decision? Does that mean my taxes are going up? And then I realized I don't want to just ask those questions. I want to be the person at the table, hearing the answers and asking the tough questions back. That's why I'm here. I'm not running with a political agenda and I don't have a magic wand, but I will make you one simple promise. I will listen and I will ask questions. And I'll bring my leadership, experience, and professionalism to the table to help make the best decisions possible for all of us. Leadership isn't about having all the answers, it's about listening first. Not just waiting to talk, but hearing what matters to people. I won't pretend to know everything, but I do know how to find answers. and I know how to collaborate, not just with the council members, but also with you, the people who live and build their lives here in Nanton. The town deserves a council that doesn't just manage meeting to meeting. It deserves one that leads with intention, a council that listens while it plans, one that balances growth with values, and protects what makes us Nanton while still moving forward. I'm not running to be a politician, I'm running to be a representative, a listener and a challenger when needed. I'm asking for your support. Let's build a council that reflects all of us, not just the loudest voices, not just the usual suspects, but the doers, the thinkers, and the problem solvers. And yes, even the coffee shop critic. Change doesn't begin with frustration. It begins when someone says, okay, I'm stepping in the ring. And that's what I'm doing. On October 20th, I ask for your support and your vote, so together we can build a council that leads Nanton with vision, responsibility, and heart. Thank you.
Thank you, Shauna. And thanks to all the candidates, for showing up tonight, and what awesome candidates we have. Let's give them a round of applause. So that's it for the formal part. As I mentioned earlier, Sarah Lynn, the returning officer, will be over at this table if you have any voting day specific questions. And the candidates will be at the round tables in the back. So please do take the time to, like, if you're new to town, introduce yourself, talk to the counselors, ask them the hard questions. They're waiting for it. So this is your opportunity. And so just a reminder, advance voting on the 17th, voting day on the 20th, and tell all your friends and neighbors, everyone that can vote, to come out and vote, because it would be great to have a really high turnout in Nanton. And thank you to all of you for coming out tonight. Really appreciate it. And as I mentioned earlier, just a reminder, this has been live streamed and recorded. So just go to YouTube, type in Visit Nanton, and the Chamber's YouTube channel should pop up and you can watch it. And I'll also post the link again tomorrow on social media. Okay? Thank you.